a roll call. Sam Belknap? Here. Betsy Ball?
Here.
Amy Cobb?
Here.
Amy Guptill?
Here.
Matthew Hanley? Here. David Ogier is a suspected absence.
No, no, yeah.
Known absence. Out on a boat. Krista Thorpe?
Here.
And Meredith Ring. Thank you. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States. All right, we do have a few adjustments to the agenda. First, we are going to add an executive session to this one for the purpose of discussion of confidential information. We also are going to move the new business sick bank request action item to after the executive session. And we are going to add a presentation by Jen Wright. And we are also going to move the FY23 audit presentation by Fred Brewer up into the presentation section as well. Any questions regarding that? Yes.
Are we doing the new business sick bank request in executive session?
We will have to have the action
Action has to be out of it.
out of executive, so we will have discussions in executive session. So
Is
what,
that what you said? Not what I heard you say. It took me either.
yeah, we will have an executive session for the purpose of discussion of confidential information. And then following that, we will have an action, which is the sick bank request. It was not, it was moved, but not deleted. So the one in new business, on the new business page, can be crossed out, and then in our packet, it is already moved down, down there at the bottom.
Got it.
It hooted in there,
And
didn't it?
just to confirm, the agenda items within executive session, did we add one to that or just those on our version of the agenda is?
The version of the agenda that you have in front of you that I printed for you is correct.
Yeah.
Today.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's kind of already done. Correct.
Is,
Right, but the ones here for the public are correct.
are there, sorry.
Hmm?
Are we anticipating any action to come out of the second component of the executive session, contract negotiations?
I don't
No.
believe so.
I would recommend we come out of the first executive session, if that's germane to sick bank.
Yeah, come out.
I just have it in a
Have the
different order,
action.
so have the action between the two executive sessions. So that
I
way we can just adjourn directly from the second executive session.
I
that
don't
make
have any-
sense?
I have no problem with that. Any-
Okay.
Thank you.
We'll plan on that. We'll have the executive session for the purpose of discussion of confidential information. Then we'll have a motion on the sick bank request, and then we'll go back into the executive session for the purpose of contract negotiations with the administration, and then adjourn from the executive session.
There you go.
Thank you for indulging me.
Of course, any other questions? All right. Now, on the agenda, we have a presentation by Nick Pascarella. I'd like to start. Thank you, Nick.
There's three of them presenting, so.
For those of you who don't know, my name is Nick Pascal. I'm the tech integrator here on Great Salt Bay, and we were very lucky to get a $25,000 grant, Future Tech grant, through the DOT. So just wanted to take a minute and just kind of showcase all the awesome stuff that we got through that grant. So one of the things wanted to share was we got two $1,500 3D printers. And so some of the stuff that we printed is like awards or pictures. So this is like the Winter Carnival Award for the for the 5/8 Winter Carnival. This is the Top Banana Award. that, the first, grade uses, and then, Jewel Galetta, asked for her class. There are, like, the Smithsonian has actual scans of like terracotta warriors, so we were able to print out the actual, like, replicas of terracotta warriors. And then, Derek Barnett does like case studies with,
We should go and make something for us.
arrowheads. So instead of having to spend hundreds of dollars on just replicas, we're able to 3D print as many arrowhead replicas as we needed. So, and we're currently, after vacation, hopefully, I'm gonna be working with second graders where there's a whole program with the printers where kids can create drawings and they can scan those drawings and turn them into like bookmarks and teachers, from 3D prints. So it's, pretty awesome what we can do with those. With the VR headsets you have in front of us was the biggest expense. We got these awesome cabinets, which have UV sterilizing light, which is fantastic. We also got 24 MetaQuest 3 headsets, which you have in front of you. To add to our 20 Quest 2s that we have, we added these battery packs to the Quest 3s and the Quest 2s, which allowed us to kind of extend the time of use. So it allowed me to be able to use them more often, like back to back with classes and stuff like that. And by adding the 24, I was able to use them in more classes, because with just 20, I wasn't able to get to all the classes, because class sizes are, some class sizes are over the budget. So just some of the things that we've been able to do with the VR stuff. Just today, the Spanish club was able to practice their Spanish in real life scenarios using the Mommy app, buying clothes, going grocery shopping, checking into the hotel room. Getting taxi cab.
I need one of these for my-
Right, yeah. Yeah, there's one that we use called Nano with Ben Brown, where kids actually navigate cellular respiration in order to power like a submarine to the body. We have career apps where kids can practice like working in a wood shop, being a beehive, plumbing. I'm trying to keep. Yeah. Forklift, right?
Driving big rigs, how to actually back up an 18-wheeler.
Big VR with, you can practice driving excavators and making excavation, excavators. Kids can also use it for, PBIS awards, so they can go fishing around the world if they would like. We had a couple, today that actually used it to, kind of, go into the Apollo 11 mission, so that actually kind of followed, starting off with JFK's speech, and then going into Apollo 11 and launching up into the moon, and then they also did mission going into the International Space Station doing space. So I put the headsets in front of you if you wanted to try them out. They have been cleaned with alcohol, so if they are safe, I have alcohol, like that again, how I understand. So headset 2 is being projected. So I think what you guys have is tight display. If you turn the knob, it's right and tighty, lefty loosey. It looks like the
Okay, me too.
if you
Again.
if you reach out, if
Oh.
you might have to just reach out and pinch. And hit the blue button,
A pinch motion.
a pinch motion to select, and to do this, you're trying to grab that, start over button.
What? Oh,
Yeah. Number 2?
Oh, we're waiting for number 2.
Well, no, is it
All the
not?
pressure's on number 2?
Well, no, you can still go 2. You should reach out and see it, is it not letting? Oh, we are watching number 2, we can't see it.
I'm getting, I don't know.
So, yeah,
But it says continue to.
you should be able to just reach out and pinch it. It's be a struggle, yeah.
Pinch it. Okay, the kids are good.
So,
Put a 4 finger going, yeah.
So when you put your
so
finger, your finger gives you a little, yeah.
Yeah.
My fake hand.
I don't know what.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I also need my glasses. I can't read it.
I can't touch
I-
buttons.
But it shows us how hard it is for the kids to master this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Of course.
Is it yours working?
Yeah.
Okay, is yours working?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Is yours working?
Oh, I'm already in Mercury.
We're good.
All right, you're good. Is yours working? Yep. Okay, well, yours working?
I can see the plan, it's moving,
Okay.
but I can't touch it.
You can't touch anything. You want to play football?
Oh,
So Titans of Space kind of takes you on a tour of the solar system and allows you can reach out and grab them and even compare them if you would like to others. Yeah.
When you actually
Oh.
have the headset on, it's amazing, like you actually get a sense of scale.
Yeah.
Mm,
Like the sun actually looks huge before.
Yeah.
yeah.
oh. I get the move.
Yeah, kids actually find out.
Oh, it's on recorded for the board meeting,
All of us
Jonathan?
weirdly gesticulating is gonna be recorded for posterity.
right? Fred, you want to try one? Or Jonathan? It'd be a great article if Jonathan gets to experience it.
Xander, as long as you want, that's all, that was,
Where are the rest of them?
Well, we do have a board meeting.
I was gonna say, I guess, this is really fun. Opposed.
Mhm.
no.
Is it a satellite, not a spider? Are you in the?
Yeah,
Yeah, so, so, I don't know if you guys have any questions or anything like that, I don't wanna take up any more of your time. So,
how, do you find that you're using daily? You know, what's, how much?
The one I had
or-
just put on him.
Yeah.
He's back in the
like,
corner.
Oh,
I'll,
People
it
will be
might be like 2 or 3 weeks where I won't use them, but then it'll be like
Yeah.
2 weeks that I'll be booked on it.
Mhm.
So I think it depends on, kind of like where it falls, for teachers. So,
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think. kind of
And the
depends.
program is or the programming is kind of both driven by you as well as what the teachers need, kind of
Yeah.
coordinated.
Mhm.
Yeah, so like, teachers will reach out to me, so like, just, yesterday, one of our, Leslie, who's, works in, Sparkville, she wants one of her kids, to practice like CPR and first aid.
Hmm.
So she reached out and asked about that, so we
Yeah.
actually found
Mhm.
American Heart Association one, and, we're gonna, hopefully get practice with that, and she was also asking about like, babysitting stuff. We don't have that, but we do have one where it's like, we take care of a pet.
Yeah.
Like, and she can
Yeah.
take some responsibility. So,
Great.
and if we don't have a VR app, there's YouTube VR, and we usually can find like videos and stuff
Yeah.
like that, that the kids could at least experience something.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much, Nick. Are there any questions from the board for?
Awesome, thank you for your time.
Yeah.
Whenever you can be loud, so I apologize.
Yeah. Well, thank you to you and thank you to KJ for, I assume, the grant writing. So,
Yes, you helped with that.
Yeah, absolutely. Everybody, great.
Thank you.
All right, next up, Jen Wright, would you like to present?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I wanted to talk to you about the grant that I shot for 25,000 also. And what's been happening with that money for after school program. So just a really brief explanation of what we've been doing with the money and how it's been going. I see we have a prop here,
Yeah.
which is awesome. I don't know if you know, there was one club that, Chris ran after school, and then one that Cammy did during the day on Friday. And then they all took their strides to the races, and it was so much fun. So I think that I can speak for both of you by saying it's a fabulous experience we want to do again and again and again. The connection with the Carpenters Boat Shop is just a great connection. They are so skilled, at working with kids, in their craft, knowledgeable about what they do, that we want to keep exploring connections with them. We have, Adirondack chairs on the horizon, so we'd like to do that next. Two groups again, and I think we'll have just enough funds to do that. So, that's just one example. The Spanish Club has been amazing. Got Marcella, who is working like crazy 4 days a week, teaching Spanish after school, and I think that that has been super successful. And then Art Club, Karen Height is doing 2 age groups, the young kids and older kids, a couple days a week, and that has been a big turnout for that. Really love that. And we've got skateboarding club on the horizon. We've got a percussion club that Matt Fogg is wanting to do. And it's a big expense because we are also going to purchase with the money that's so he can pull off the percussion club as he wants to do it. So that's going to be great. So as you can see, there's just a lot of areas that we hit with this grant. A lot of different interests, and what I wanted to do is sort of present that to you. Hope that we have the grant again next year, but I have no idea if that is even available to us, but just kind of plant the seed that after school programming is successful and is something that parents and students want. And so I'm not sure what that looks like for a budget. And I'm talking to Chris about stipending, but it's tricky because we don't always know what's gonna come down the pipe for offerings the year ahead of time. Who would have known? I did not know anything about Carpenter's Boat Shop for this year, last year. But I'm sure everybody can figure out how to do that. I just am imploring, I guess, to all of you that we make it happen in some way, we continue to make it happen if there is no grant again. So those are some stats for you to look at and, think about how we can keep this.
Are the costs next to these mostly cost for like materials
It's to pay teachers. So I, with the grant, I had, gotten approval through the grant. People that gave me the grant, that I would pay people $35 an hour to run these programs. And so that's different. Like STEM Club, Allison we don't pay them. That $300, they insist that there's a teacher there. So that's for that teacher to be there. Me. But then, Art Club, we're paying materials and $35. So it seems reasonable. It seems like enough to get people to want to do it, but not at all too much.
Was this a private grant or?
Yeah, well, it's through the Lincoln Health Community Health Improvement Fund.
We accepted it last year as a board.
Did.
It came in.
Got a very small
great.
one last year, only because they approached me at the last minute and I said, sure, yes. And they said, how much do you want? And it's like, I don't know, $1,500. And they were like, okay, and then they sent to me an email saying, we think your school could use 25. I said,
Suppose so.
so they're really, I'm assuming, I mean, they give money to all their bunches. And so, hoping it continues, you know, they're collecting a ton of data, so I have to give them all the numbers, all the baselines of, you know, how many kids did, you know, and they look for all of the after-school programming we've ever offered, all sports and everything. So they look for data from all of that. They insist that we don't charge admission to anything that we offer, which we already didn't. Right? Most schools charge our, you know, basketball games and all that. So, that's part of their criteria, and they will cover the cost for schools are doing it for some reason. So,
Their mission is to promote engagement opportunities regardless of financial status or, and making sure that students have opportunities, because this is one of the most impactful things for student success later in life. So that's why they're covering those fees or trying to increase opportunities for kids.
some of this is hard for kids who can't get a ride home after they stay after school. And this year they said, we will cover it. You need to figure out busing. We will.
Yeah, the first year they wouldn't allow transportation, but they changed that, so we were thrilled.
The timing for knowing what health will be offering. They usually let me know, and they let me know in the summertime, which is really late. But I can reach out and just say, hey, we're in the budgeting process. Have an idea if you're going to be doing this again. You know,
For being able to tell the story of the impact of this year, it's like, is it twice as much next year, actually?
Right.
Or are there other funders that, yeah.
Say some states and mentions say that it might be less next year, since like you wouldn't have to purchase a lot before.
Oh, we could easily.
Start more clubs.
Then, of course, we would probably do it. But, you know, there's money to be spent. There's things to spend the money on.
Mhm.
But, you know, I think I still have 3,000 or something if I add it all up. I left myself a cushion just because I wasn't sure, you know, with the paying for hourly and, all that. I just didn't want to come up short in any way, so I still like a pretty adequate. And we still make money. I think we have to be factored in to that would be. Yeah.
Wonderful. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Jen, are there any other questions from the board for Jen?
Somebody did point out earlier that we have a nice mix here of actual hands-on activities and virtual
Mhm.
technology exploration. So that, you're right, putting you two together on the same day was a nice mix for the board.
Well, thank you, Jen.
Was it you that said that?
Yeah.
Somebody said it.
Folks who are running these current programs who are interested in expansion of these programs within CSE curriculum or versus.
Yes, I mean, I know that both shop love
There is one
working
comment
with
and
kids
it's about
during
the
the
clubs.
day.
That's kind of my thing.
That's something they've done with other kids. Spanish during the day is definitely something that, we have talked about, it's want, and we'd love to expand to that too. We have a great Spanish teacher right now, and, that's something we can talk about. You know, it's always, scheduling is always really hard. And it's great to have some of these things in the day, but it's also, I think, really important to provide that after school time for some kids who would just be going to the Y, which is great in itself. But, it's an everyday kind of monotonous kind of thing that they just do because they need to do something else. Going home right after school.
Thank you, Jen, and thank you for all the work you do for that. All right, so I know I had said earlier that we would have Fred in the presentation section. I think it might make sense if it is okay to provide an opportunity for public comments following those two presentations, and then we'll have Fred jump on board after that. So, is there any public comment? Wonderful. Had a feeling.
Course.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah, I just want to speak to the Spanish Club, and it was a total surprise to have this option, December, and it totally needed something social, but academically challenging and fun. So that's been a great opportunity for her, and to talk to different folks about how to expand and whether or not we're ready to start moving on foreign language, in our day. You want to talk a little bit more about club impact first. So I just, again, sent this, survey out on Monday afternoon. It just got a little bit of feedback from people so that you could see, how folks are feeling about the club and what that has meant to their families, but then also give a little bit more, offering for them. So my name is Heather Sturgeon. I'm a parent and a staff member here, and I've had the good luck to be able to join the Spanish club. Spanish. And it's been helpful to Marcella, who's the Spanish teacher, because this is her first year being here and getting to know the kids. But I just want to speak to how awesome this club has been for me, for my son to be in it. I feel like for the first time we have this bounty of after school clubs where I can actually be like, sorry, I can't sign Aaron up for this awesome thing because he's already doing 3 other skateboarding. It's wonderful. And to have it all for free. So I want to definitely keep these after school clubs going. And I know in the strategic plan, one of the goals is to get a Spanish program, Spanish language or foreign language program during the class. So I think we've got our Spanish teachers, we've got the club. This is great. Keep the momentum going. However, but just to speak, I wanted the students to have a chance to share what they think of the Spanish club. So it's okay, I'll just read a couple of testimonials. The kids, I have them just write down something that they value about the club. So one student said, I think we should have a Spanish club because it is so fun. We have dance parties and cook food. Also, it's good to learn new languages because if you travel, it's cool to know what they're saying. We should have a Spanish program because if you ever move to another country, it's important to know that language and it's fun. One student just said Spanish and fun. It really, that's the gist of it. It's making learning a new language fun. Marcella is really engaging and she comes from Colombia and she just has so much Colombian culture there. Another student said, the reason why I like Spanish Club is because Miss Marcella makes learning Spanish fun, and when we speak Spanish, it can be useful in the future. So these kids are already thinking ahead they can see this is opening the world up to them a little bit more just by being in this club. So
And a whole new appreciation for Mark Anthony.
Yeah.
Or dancing to stuff. So everybody feels very comfortable and safe and we did Spanish VR today and after that, they were all like just speaking conversational Spanish to each other. I mean, they split it, but. So,
Great.
Stuff that, you know, I think they're, school day, and then I also, Heather and I were wondering, another school in Maine offer foreign language. And there's a lot of data on the main DOE site, there's about 50 programs. Friendship has a foreign, I mean, Friendship has foreign language program for second graders, so, that, yeah, I felt like, I mean, I'm, so, you know. And so anyway, here to, you know, start that conversation, wondering about next steps.
Right. Well, thank you. And for those that don't know you, your name is? Wonderful. Well, thank you, Heather, and thank you, Hannah. Great. We will this for later. All right, back. Fred, you are up.
Do it in Spanish, Fred.
Yeah.
Or in virtual reality.
Mucho dinero.
So I usually start the back. And I'll try to make this. quick. So on the last page, it shows the meal count. The meal count is like, so we read the food and then we'll do the, because the basic capital purchase is overexpended, but that will be funded in the future. Your bus reserve, which you have money in, and then your bond proceeds fund. So there were some legal expenses that were paid out before, and then you borrowed the money in the next fiscal year to, do the parking lot projects. So that will be fully funded next year and taken care of. And then you have board, designated reserves, and then two there, and then the overlay. We still have about $410,000 in certain accounts at the end of the year. Questions on the reserve? Typically,
Which page is it? 53?
53.
So this is all the federal money that was spent by each of the programs. So each of them have what they call an AL number, which is the system thing number. So this is what the federal government uses to identify each of these grants. So Department of Agriculture, most of that is related to the food service program. So they all started with AL of 10. And you can see for the Department of Agriculture, you get about $132,000. And there's a lot of those just kind of are in and out, so it's whether it's the regular lunch subsidy or if it's your, they're called donated commodities, which is the food that goes into the program that you don't have to pay for, but you get a benefit. So that one was, about $21,000 that you receive from essentially free food. Next one was the Department of Treasury, which that was cleaning up the, grant before, Department of, so this is broken out into a few grants, Title I, Title II, but they also have what they call clusters, so they're programs that all have the same compliance requirements, those grants, so they get moved into one, so that's like Title I, and there were two different types of Title I, one was for the summer program, and one was for the regular Title I, $114,000 was spent there. And then your special education cluster with your local entitlement, those are 109,000. Title II is 35,000. Title IV, which is 10, and then you get into your ESSER money. So the total of ESSER money is $514,000. So if you look at the expenditures column, we spent about $922,000 alphabetical money. Part of it was to pay for the total classroom that, costs. So what we have to do, because you spend over $750,000 is what they call single audit. So we have to go and look at what they call a major program, which for you, that was the ESSER report. It's ESSER 2 and 3, which you spent this fiscal year. So you go to the next.
Yep. We're not gonna get anywhere else.
No, those are done.
So we can not worry about that 500, but that remaining 400,000 of money that's coming through the Department of Education, that's at risk, potentially. No, of course, we don't.
No,
This is also, this is.
This is from
isn't last
23,
year's audit, this is
right.
23.
Oh, so, yeah, so last year we didn't have ESSER.
no.
Okay.
Well,
Yeah.
we, Lesser 3 finished out,
Yeah.
yeah.
So probably somewhere.
Taking the ESSER money out and saying, this is what we've got left.
Gotcha,
So I'm just,
sure.
we made up something about the state. And
Yeah, there's no guarantee those
Yeah.
funds are actually cut right now anyway.
Mhm.
Any orders that have been put out right now are actually about, they're not the Title I and the local entitlement funds or necessarily the agriculture funds. They're discretionary grant funds. So it's a different category, like the SRSA ones, which we don't receive. We're too big of a school for. So right now, we don't have any indication that Title I funds or local entitlement or these agricultural funds are in jeopardy. I said, right now, we have no indication.
President said today he would like the Department of Education disbanded immediately.
Just so you know, Title I and local entitlement both existed before the Department of Education. They were in existence
we're-
prior to the Department of
Sorry,
Ed.
away from the.
Yeah. So right, but
I hear you.
that, right,
Sorry.
right.
So if you go to page 55, we have to issue the essentially separate thing, what our findings are. So, we talked about the audit report for the unmodified report, internal control for financial reporting, there weren't any issues, so those are all known. Internal control over major programs, so there was a material weakness, that was no material weaknesses, but there was a significant deficiency. So in our testing, we found that one of the certifications by one of the teachers was not filled out properly. So they were listed as ESSER 2 and they should have been ESSER 3.
Right.
It's one of those splitting hair things. So as part of that, you have to go to page 56, 57. So these are essentially the findings and what the impacts were, the picture was a cause, what the effects, and if we have any recommendations. Also, there's a management response that's in there as well. So you can read the management responses, which is a combined effort part. But a lot of these things, because the grants go away, it makes a lot of these issues. So it's just one-time deal. But the biggest one is the one on 57. And that was impact any of the numbers or anything. You look at the way the contract was written, the way that the teacher was paid, and the way that it was allocated to the program. So, questions on that?
No.
Take time. Just very brief. So there's two pieces on here, either we're bringing to the board, no fee is your tag. So the carrying amount is what's on your, it's on your book four, and then the bank balance was about $70,000 higher. So that's outstanding checks that were issued June 30th. So there was a portion that was covered by, federal deposit insurance, and a portion that was collateralized, so all of your cash is protected. And then the next one down below, property, plant, and equipment, so you can utilize your reserves to do some improvements. So it's about $500,000 in improvements, and the depreciation was about $200,000. So I use that as my barometer to say, are we keeping up with maintenance of buildings based on what it historically cost us? So we're a little behind, but we're trying to address that in the next year.
Right.
So it's just a timing thing that's kind of stats to say. I've had ones where they haven't spent any years. They just sit there and it's like, okay, well, are you putting any money away? And it's like, no, and then something breaks and we're like, oh my God, we're gonna borrow $500,000. And it's just expensive prices. That's the advantage of putting money away in reserves. Helps you get through those tough situations. Pages 31 and 32 is all accounting pronouncements. We have to put in the financial statements and new accounting pronouncements that could be implemented and ones that are potential in the future. A lot of them don't apply to you. There is one that will be applicable, which is on page 32, 7B, with absences. So we're going to have to start accruing compensated absences. So that's sick time. Anything that's in the teacher's contract carry over. But will that affect the way that you do your budgeting? Something impact the way that you're spending money. The way the financial. That's all good that. Page 25. The school lunch program. County standards want it to show a certain way. I don't really like it. I think it's a little misleading, but it's been really accentuated with the state paying for the school lunch. So upper part is what you have for operating revenue, so you're doing sales, and refunds that you receive. So it looks like you had $2,600 in revenue last year to support the school lunch program, and then you spent $288,000 to operate it. Makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? So
Good
then you,
business.
looks like you were, you overspent what you'd, taken in by $285,000, and then you had $266,000 which you took in, school nutrition subsidy, donated monies. So at the end of the day, the school lunch program actually went down by $1. But if you compare it to 22, you didn't put $60,000. Why you had an extra fire. So if you put $60,000 in, adding up $40,000, which in the day, it really is. Route just. Questions on the lunch program? So, the kind of meat and potatoes of the financial statements are pages 22 and 23. So we're looking at all of the individual funds, so you get the general fund and reserve fund. So you can see general fund 56.5 million, spent 6.6, transferred 100,000 to reserve. The fund balance from 19,000. Now it's 50,000. Reserve, you have 22 in reimbursement, 26.7, put 100,000 in, so that's down to 410. And then you expect the revenue, so majority of that is grant.
Brad, where are you? Sorry to interrupt.
123.
23.
So you can use different columns for our funds. So 1.6 million, 1.1 in special revenue, 1.1 in expenses. And then you had $20,000 because you had the adult ed program transfer into grade small bag. You were not risk. program. That was the fund balance of 75 there, so if you compare 22 to 23, your fund balance went from 1.2 billion down to 8%. Some of that. Fund balance.
Mhm.
So page 22. So this is essentially what you have and what you owe at the end of the school year. So if you look at the general fund, it had 1.7 million in assets, 1.3 in liabilities, so there's $387,000 in fund balance. So there's two pieces to it. So there's a sign, which is usually what you use to reduce your ask of the taxpayer for the next year, and then unassigned, which is what's left. Committed, that's your reserves, because there's some form of control that say you can't spend this money unless you need to. And then the special revenue is restricted because it's money that's not yours, but you're spending. So you're satisfied with. Questions on those? So the next 4 pages moving forward are on what they call full accrual basis. So it picks up a whole bunch of stuff that most boards don't really care about. So the accounting standards want you to show all these different things for the pension plan. You also have 2 different other post-employment benefits. One of them is health insurance and one of them is life insurance. So there's assets and liabilities for both of those. So those are in here today. We also pick up the debt. If you didn't have any, which will go next year after borrowing $1 million. And you can put it up, closing out over the. We have page 19, the focus on this one is the net cost of the taxpayer. So it takes your expenses and then reduces whatever you need to charge people and you get grants for. So you spent 7.8 million, but you reduced it by 2 different revenue sources to 6.1 million. And then you asked the taxpayers for about another 6 million. So it was over the expenses. The expenses were over the revenue. Those compensated absences that I talked about earlier will show up on this.
Question?
So I also gave you another handout, which I actually enjoyed more than one. Actually see what the trends are. Taking what you have. And I put a 10-year average on, so you can kind of see where you're at. For most schools, the biggest indicator is what do you have for cash? So as you can see, your low point was around $1 million, and your high point was 2 million, so you're at 1.7 right now, which is a little bit more than the 10-year average. But I would be happy with that because your expenses are going up, so you want to make sure you've got more cash to fall back on. Helps to keep you from borrowing money all the time. Revenue anticipation notes, cost of those is getting far more expensive. Going down to the next line, your reserves, you can see you're right, pretty much in the same ballpark of where you have been. You drop down a little bit, and gone back up, your average is 523, and you're at 678. So your unrestricted cash is right around millions, which is what your average is. You see your assessments, so they've kind of jumped up and gone back down. So you're at $4.7 million right now. Average is 4.9. And then you look at your cash as a percentage of your assessment. So you're at about 20% of your assessment you got in cash, which equates to about 2.6 months of cash on it, which is roughly the amount of months that you have teachers' summer salaries. You've got that covered. And, look at your fund balances, you can see how much they've changed. So here's kind of a high point right now. What your general fund balance is in the past. The depreciation that I was talking about before, you can see traditionally been spending anywhere from $70,000 to $500,000. So you're at your high point this year, you're gonna get your high point next year. And then you can see your school lunch, which is your revenue. You can tell when the state kicked in and started funding the lunch programs. So that jumped up from 21 to 22. And you can see your expenditures jumped up too, because you're having more institution funding. You look at your meal served and then your cost per meal, it's still right around the same amount. That's what my-
Wonderful. Questions for Fred? Question.
Not
you
For a little
got
bit, not for a bit. He has to do 23 for the other schools too, and then he'll start 24. Yeah.
Or that I haven't really started because I was still waiting for the process to get a few things tied out and recorded before I started.
How much time does it take for, I'm sure it depends on the district or the school unit, but
So
couple weeks, couple months?
traditionally, this audit has been around 180 hours.
Yeah.
With all of the federal money, it was closer to 2.
Oh.
So that's why we're
Yeah.
behind, because we have an extra 60 hours.
Yeah.
Never.
Yeah.
So it's just getting through this federal money once it's gone. Because doesn't count for my license. Makes it easy to plan things. You can say, okay, I know I have 200 hours of work here.
Yeah.
200 hours
Right.
here, and then
Block it out.
so it makes it easy.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Right. Yeah. Excellent. Well, thank you very much, Fred. Thank you. Would you get started on the next one?
Is that wise? It seems to be.
All good?
Okay. Yeah.
All
We can
right.
Discuss it later.
So that concludes the presentation. We have already concluded public comment. Now I'm looking for an action to approve the minutes. The regular meeting on January 8th,
So
2025. Thank you, Sam.
Oh.
Ooh, I heard that.
That's
too.
it, thank you.
Any discussion, any issues with the minutes from January? Did not see anything that stood out to me.
Take a day tomorrow, rest up.
I think the board can see.
You bet. Or no, it goes
Um,
Friday.
Okay,
Right.
hearing none, we'll bring this to a vote. All in favor of approving the minutes? Raise your hand. It looks unanimous. Great. Chairs report. So that is me. The next regular meeting of the Great Salt Bay CSD Board will be Wednesday, March 12th, 2025 at 6 p.m. Most likely here in the library. The next regular meeting of the AOS board will be on Wednesday, March 11th, 2025 at 6 p.m. This will be at Noble Royal Central School. On to committee reports. I will lead off with the Facilities and Transportation Committee. Normally we meet the first Monday of every month. We switched it to the second Monday, I guess. We did it this Monday. It was a good meeting. Generally, no news. Transportation is going along well. Fred Lothrop is now officially a new bus driver for us, which is great. Mark is updated us on various projects. So summer, potentially heat pumps, so allow for AC in a few of the classrooms, namely they'd be looking at the classrooms that are used for summer school. This would be a grant-based project. Besides that, nothing that is huge. We kind of talked about some projects and general long-term ideas for space use, but nothing that is big as of yet. So, any questions or anything that I missed, Meredith? Yeah. Any questions? Great. Finance. So, and also the Facilities and Transportation Committee will meet next on March 3rd, Monday, March 3rd. Bring this to the Finance Committee.
We met.
Oh,
I
all
think our
right.
last snow day.
Yeehaw.
So, we actually spent the majority of our last meeting, preparing, for the next budget, mainly for our transition to an RSU and bringing on new positions to the school, and defining the salary ranges that would fit with the budget. For that, to help guide as they're doing some hiring and some contract work. So that was really the majority of our meeting. I feel like we should go over each single one of those individually, but that's what we did. So already lots of work to try and, make sure that we are building a budget that gets us everything we need, but is awesome. That's our goal.
Great, cool.
And
Thank you. All right.
we are
Thank
meeting
you.
again 3/6 at 4.
6 at 4.
Mhm.
Great. Thank you, Ian. Policy Committee. You're up.
Who was there in person, I think, I was there
Yeah.
on Zoom, we did meet on the fourth Wednesday of last month, and we've got a couple policies, first and second grade. That would be information on. Right. I just wanted to flag that the fourth Wednesday of this month is during school vacation, so it could be rescheduled to the fifth Wednesday unless.
Thank you.
It makes sense.
So we got the 26th.
26.
Sure.
Policy.
Yes, we did just get a notice that the Title IX regulations were reverted to the 2020 status. At our first meeting this year, we updated them for the 2024 status. So the policy committee would like to review those again, that if we revert to our prior one, that we don't have any other changes we want to make. So they're gonna go through the first round of that. That was a lot of numbers.
For the Strategic Planning Committee, they, I assume, did not meet, and no board workshops.
I suppose I can take that off our standing
Probably,
list if you'd
yeah.
like. No, the strategic
strategic
planning one,
The AOS report.
I have not been informed of any need for participation in any of the AOS meetings.
Great,
no.
okay.
And actually, I believe they're meeting tonight or last night. Tonight,
Been out since
to do the bus, just their bus bid for transportation. And then I'm not sure they're not sure they'll meet again for the rest of this school year, but,
All righty,
there you go.
Blissfully ignorant.
sounds good. All right, Lindsay, that brings us to the superintendent's report.
Okay, I am going to keep it brief tonight. First, I have good news. Our bus request for a handicap accessible
Okay.
bus was
We
approved.
have talked
So-
about that at the,
Yes, so
Yes.
we received that information. Debbie and Kim were very excited by that. I'm waiting for confirmation of how much we're going to receive, but I'm expecting a significant amount, based off the number I saw in an email, but not in the system. So that is
That's
great
nice.
news. Debbie is starting the process of getting that ordered, confirmation order this week. So That's great. For yeah. For RSU 48, I'm gonna jump around on my thing. We have posted the ad for Director of Special Services. We have 2 applications so far, which is great. It is open through the end of this month for applications. I will need a board member, I would like a board member to sit on that committee. Generally, when you're hiring somebody at the upper level of administration, you have a board member participating. So be looking for somebody that's willing in early March to be sitting on a committee, interview committee for special ed director. If you let me know at some point if you're interested in that, that'd be great. We do have on our agenda for later tonight considering the value of staying a member of MSMA, which is Maine School Management Association. I assume you will want to do that. There are a lot of benefits along the policy database, the trainings, the workshops they put out, the resources, everything that they have for board members and superintendents. Also, we have historically gotten our insurance through them, our property insurance, our liability, all of that, and we do need to be a member in order to continue to stay with that. So that'll be later on the agenda for you to consider. In other funding news, our ED 279 came out, the preliminary first round. We have a subsidy of $2,240,807.28. That is up about $100,000 from our combined totals of last year. I took the subsidies that each of the 3 secondaries and Great Salt Bay received, this year, added them together, and next year's subsidy is increased. So that is good news. Becoming an RSU did give us some of the additional funds that they said it would. So I like that direction there. Again, that's the preliminary one, but I don't expect any changes in that. We did receive a notice from the state that Title II funds, in the federal audit of the state process, they've decided that the state used an unacceptable and allowable process for allocating Title II funds. Title II funds are used for professional development. So along with what we have in our general fund budget for teacher tuition or classes or workshops, they support other teacher development opportunities. It used to be they only worked for Title I staff, but now that we're school-wide, all staff can access them. As a remediation plan, they have divided out over the next 5 years. Some schools in the state will be losing money out of their allocation. Some will be receiving more money. We are going to lose approximately $22,500 a year for the next 5 years. We have about 32,000. I add 10,000 to it from Title IV. 42,000. So we still are going to have a significant chunk of money. We do have to share that with Lincoln Academy because they are located within our district. It's about a 60-40 split. But Lincoln Academy is aware of this as well. And I just wanted you to know when that comes out, we're on it. We know the numbers. And I have reached out to them to find out if RSU 48 is new and maybe doesn't lose anything because they never got anything extra. Maybe Great Salt Bay disappears. So we'll see what happens with that. Wishful thinking, right? Wishful thinking. And then in our transportation, also tonight, we'll have I drew up the request for proposals on secondary transportation. And I am assuming that we are going to continue our current runs. We pay for about 2.5 bus runs right now among our 3 secondary towns. And they are not one strictly for Newcastle, one strictly for Damascotta, one for Bremen. They are mixed with routes based on where students live, but they are allocated based on the routes that they cover. The AOS has already done theirs. In fact, that's what they're approving tonight. For their secondary runs, we will be doing ours different. So that is in your packet as well. It may just, it's a long document. I may have just left it in the shared drive instead of adding to your packet. But those are the things on our plate as we're doing that and diving into budget season.
Questions?
Yeah, Lindsay, real fast on the Title II adjustment.
Yes.
What happens after the 5 years? Is this this is meant to make up misallocations or
Us receiving
there's a
too
set
much in
amount
the-
that they're trying to recoup over the 5 years?
Yes.
Rather than all at once? And then
Yes.
at which time it will return?
It should stabilize unless something
Okay.
else has changed. Yes.
Great, nice.
Any other questions for Lindsay? Okay, thank you, Lindsay.
We have lots of other celebrations, but I know Kim's going to cover a bunch of them. So I'm going to let
All
her do some school specific ones.
Great, well, we will get right to that. Kim, the floor is yours.
Thank you and apologize for not being able to be here the last 2 months.
Oh.
The flu that was going around at the beginning of the year, since we still have it. But our
enrollment is staying pretty steady. And so moving on to our athletic program, I want to start by thanking our coaches. So Coach Addix, Coach Crosby, Coach Gannon, and Coach Wallace helped our teams. And, one of the things that I've mentioned many times, especially with Jason Addix over the years as our athletic director, who's been for many years off and on, there have been so many times that we have been close to not being able to offer a team event because we've been lonely. For example, Coach Addix wasn't able to step in as AD and basketball coach. I mean, we didn't have these opportunities. So to have these members of our school community and parent community step up and provide the coaching, it is so important. And one of the things that will be happening later in the month is Chris Holman, August, Jason Addix, myself, and Lindsay will be working as an extra pay committee to go over the stipends for athletic programs, co-curricular programs. But as you heard earlier in the presentation, Jen, these after-school programs, whether it be co-curricular focusing programs such as our drama club, now to the athletic program are really important. And then when we highlight the fact that, our team competed very well at the playoff level, our boys team won the South Division for the small school. So this was the first time we've been in the small school division. And, they lost in overtime by 3 points to Lincolnville, but they represented us incredibly well. And our girls made it to the playoffs, and our cheering squad made it to the, competed in the championship at the Dominic. I learned today from the girls that the team has decided not to go on to Bangor, but they all enjoyed that. And Aaron Mishu is going to be starting up archery as the next winter sport. So, having a strong athletic program for our girls is outstanding. Since the facilities was gone over by August, I just want to, kind of reiterate what Lindsay said is the budget process has been underway, and Michelle and I have been finalizing the budgets on our end, and we're going to be having Lindsay see how the numbers come. And, as I mentioned a moment ago, we have our math house team, and they did very well. And so our students, Jade Moon came in second, Otis Ball came in fifth, Wesley Belknap came in eighth, Mari Glendon came in 14th, and then as a team, they tied for first in the chapter. So doing incredibly well in a co-curricular program like math counts. Carrie Thurston, our consultant, has come in at the beginning of the month, and she met with the 3rd and 4th grade teachers to go over data. And one of the things that I celebrated in a staff bulletin with last week was, I'm talking about in board reports about how we are assessing students periodically through the year. And sometimes it's been hard for teachers to complete those assessments and get the information in the data wall. This year, this winter, we had all of that data in the wall. And so even our consultant, Gary Thurston, knows that it is so valuable to have that so that we can reference when we're making decisions about instruction or students that need interventions. So that is something that I'm very pleased that the teachers have done. And one of the things that we did to make it possible is, for some of these assessments, like the benchmark reading assessment, we offer teachers the opportunity to bring in a substitute so that they have the time to work and get these critical assessments done. So we're very pleased to have that data for all of our students. And going down to, climate and culture, you heard about the toboggan championship, and again, thanks to Chris and Tammy for taking the teams there. It was bitterly cold, but it's an amazing program for our students who participated. The other thing under that section that I really, 2 things that I want to highlight. Again, we have a student who's in K through 4th grade. We had our winter carnival, and then Aaron Mishu made that possible with the teacher support and the staff support. Then following vacation, Nick Wallace is going to be hosting the carnival for our older kids. And in the last staff bulletin, I emphasized and kind of wanted to highlight, this is extra for them. I mean, it's not part of a PE curriculum to offer these kind of carnivals, but to make these carnivals possible for our kids, celebrating winter, celebrating playing outside is just a great thing that they're bringing to our school community. Then I want to say that Tammy and I had an amazing experience last Friday because we had our very first student-focused luncheon. So we invited 8 students. Mrs. Brown created invitations that morning, and we had a luncheon with them, and I shared information about that, I believe in my last principal's report. I didn't report out on it personally. But we asked the students about what are we doing well? What are things that they would like changed, even if they know that it's, you know, good for them, but they'd still like to change. And so, in some other recommendations, and, you know, as I've shared with you, and I put in a letter for the 7th and 8th grade parents, in each grade that we do these focus groups, I'm gonna be informing parents and giving parents the opportunity, 1, to just know what we're doing, 2, if the parent's not comfortable, to opt out, but hearing from the voices of the children. And I'll just give you a little snapshot, because I wanted to share with this full staff first. I mean, I'll just give you a snapshot. I mean, 7th and 8th graders, you know, like, what did they really, really like? And Robin Jackson has these questions, and she emphasized, you gotta say really, really like, even though I didn't get it. You know, like, we like the electives, and the new electives in particular. I mentioned that, you know, the new music elective that Tori is doing with the keyboard, and they were, you know, like the fact that Mr. Circle added guitar last year and some of the other electives. One of the things that they said that they would like to have changed, and I shared in the staff bulletin that I updated today, we will be changing the no hoods. So we have the rule, hats, not hoods. And it was interesting because one of the students brought this up as something that we should change, and all the heads were nodding. She's like, is it really that big of a deal? You know, and that was under kind of the question of that, you know, what it's good for you. We've always said no hoods because, you know, you can have earbuds in there and, you know, you might hide. And she's like, but Ms. Schaff, you could hide in a hat if you have your hat pulled down low. So what if it's just, we have to be able to see your face, you don't have earbuds in, couldn't we make that change? And when I brought that to leadership today, you know, we all agreed that that's a reasonable request. And to be able to show our student focus groups and then the larger student community that we will hear them, we will consider, and we can make some changes. It was very powerful. And so at the end of the month, Mrs. Beasley and I will invite our some 5th and 6th grade representatives. We'll each month try to get the 7th and 8th grade and 5th and 6th. We're going to then in probably March, we'll be able to hit 3rd and 4th. So we kind of just want to grease the wheels, get comfortable with this program. But, you know, as I think I shared with the staff, and I don't know if I have the opportunity to share with you, our goal next year would be to have every student have participation in one of these luncheons and to hear their voice. As I mentioned in the principal's report, you know, we do the online, you know, school climate survey with the PBIS Swiss program. That's good data. But it's just, you know, it's like a Likert scale. It's not the same as listening to them and having the feedback with each other. So I think it's going to be a powerful thing. The other thing that I will share that came out of the leadership meeting is they made the request of, Kim, why don't you do staff focused luncheons? And so this Friday, when we have our early release day, 8 random staff are going to get an invitation to have a luncheon, the exact same question that we asked our kids. And so then the goal will be, within a year's time frame, to give every staff member a mixed staff opportunity to share their thoughts. And again, try to make our school experience better at the staff level, at the student level. So I am incredibly grateful that, you know, the educational consultant, Robin Jackson, shared this on one of the podcasts, because I think it's really going to have, as you said, even more of a powerful change in our culture than even the surveys that we're doing from Swiss. So definitely want to be part of that. We did lose Deb Orr, so moving down to personnel, we did lose Debbie Orr. She was a custodian here for 14 years. She had, when she heard about and was asked, and she was basically recruited by a friend to work at the YMCA daycare. And so when she was recruited to work with daycare with 2-year-olds, I can't blame her. Giving up a custodial job to go to work with 2-year-olds, I think that's going to be fantastic for her. And so we reconfigured the bus driver custodian staff because we did not initially hire Fred as a bus driver because we had a number of staff hours at the daytime bus driver level. So with Debbie's departure, we now have 3 bus driver custodial positions. And so they're covering the daytime hours. Mark and I have advertised for an evening custodian. So until that position is filled, we are filling the need with overtime. So staff would be given the opportunity if they're interested in filling the overtime hours. Want to definitely highlight that Leslie Dalton has completed her National Board Certification Program, which is an incredible accomplishment. The amount of hours that go into that work, and that's something where she is getting supervised and her educational practices are being critiqued, and growth potential when you go through that program is amazing. And Chris Coleman, he kept this a little bit of a secret. Kept it quiet, but I heard that you're going to be putting on the tux this weekend.
Really nice.
Very nice. So Chris has been awarded the Maine MEA Award for Teaching Excellence, and so he is going to be flying down, I'm assuming flying soon, to DC this weekend to be recognized at the national level, which is amazing. And
Well deserved.
you know, because it's Lindsay's made a priority for safety in our school, we've had some safety meetings, and we are, last night, we hosted our emergency stakeholder meeting. We did not have, because of schedule, we weren't able to have many of the law enforcement actually present, but the local fire departments, ambulance service, dispatch were here. And we talked about some upcoming drills that we're planning. So we want to have that emergency stakeholder meeting on a yearly basis. With the strategic planning and the RSU transition plan, this is a new section I want to kind of put in each month. And as you will be taking action on the first region, one of the things that was outlined in the strategic plan is, we will define and maintain small class sizes. So the policy committee is working on that policy. We will be having a music department meeting on Friday where we're going to be discussing that charge of enhancing the music programs and what can we do differently. Because again, just the addition of a guitar program, the keyboard program, some of the changes that having Matt do some instrumental programming at the 4th grade level. So really looking at what we're doing in our music program as a team. We're going to really start that conversation on the 14th. And I think everything else read through, but
Great.
questions?
Thank you, Kim.
Kim, any questions?
No, but I do just want to say that it is well deserved for Chris to win that award.
Congratulations, Chris.
Thank you for putting in the strategic planning blurb here. I also just want to say, I hope you put in next week or the next time for your staff lunches. That's fantastic engagement. I take credit for all the things you do. But are you sharing the same sort of thing with the teachers at every monthly staff meeting or whatever? And also for the staff?
From the students,
Just the strategic, what you're doing routinely on, because we had visitors today asking us, are we doing this for the strategic planning? I just want to make sure that people know you are working on it. I also just going to suggest, it sounds like you're doing a lot of data gathering already. And since we've talked a lot about how the strategic planning document should be like a living document, it doesn't stay the same for 10 years. Hope you'll keep all that. So the next time we go to look at it to change things, and it sounds like you're gathering feedback from students and staff, I've already heard. So that's going to be important. data that you've already, you've done so much work on to add, when we look at sort of modifying what is, needs to come back up. So,
Right.
nice work, thank you.
All right. Moving on, where are we here? Unfinished business, it appears we have none. Moving straight into new business. Sick and compressed was moved to chapter. Secondary transportation, seeking action to authorize the superintendent to issue an RFP for secondary student transportation to Lincoln Academy.
So moved.
Sam? Betsy? All right.
And I can just explain,
yeah.
it is like an 18-page document. It's in there. There's a template from the state. So it is a standardized one that I just filled in our needs and requests for. So, and then I did review the AOS one to make sure that I had components that they had, or, that we have currently in place. So
Mhm.
it's in your shared drive to review, but I did want the board authorization for me to publish that.
It had dates in it.
It does, yes. And the dates are based on if it is approved tonight. If it isn't, if it needs more time, then I will adjust those. I can tell you've read it. Thank you.
So moved.
Mm.
Thank you. It has been moved, so we are, any other discussion? Okay, we will put it to vote. All in favor, you can raise show of hands. All right, the vote is unanimous, it passes.
Thank you.
Job description, seeking action to approve RSU 48 job descriptions for superintendent and director of special services.
So moved.
Sam? Betsy?
These are, my goal is throughout this year to work through all of the positions and make sure we have updated job descriptions for everything that we have in RSU 48. But since we are currently hiring the director of special services, I started in that arena to make sure that what we are hiring for, our interview questions are tailored to the job description.
The only question I had, because we will be operating with a superintendent slash business manager, is that a separate position that needs to be hired, or does it need to be explicitly listed in the job description for the superintendent? Like superintendent and business manager, it's a
So I viewed it
somewhat
as,
semantic question.
no, that's perfectly fine. One of the responsibilities, or many of the responsibilities of the superintendent is managing anything that you don't have personnel designated for. So I considered it under sort of that responsibility.
Okay.
Similar to some other small districts around the state, but I don't think it would hurt, as long as you keep the position that way, to make a note of it in here if you wanted a specific piece.
So you don't, there's not gonna be a separate business manager job description.
I was not going to do one, but I can if you'd like, or we can add it into here.
I think that
It does say in
this
the,
is like a full-time,
it does say
Sure.
business management here, but it doesn't
maybe the title
delineate those.
would be superintendent slash business manager. That's what the position is.
Yeah.
It'd Be
Yep.
full-time, you're right.
And I think just having the responsibilities partitioned out would just be helpful.
Okay,
So do we want to bring
so the finance responsibilities section, I would add some pieces to.
Is there anything business manager wise?
Yeah, yeah. I can beef it up to be a little bit more robust.
And I don't want to slow up the process or anything, but I just think having it all documented might be helpful.
Sure. We'd rather do it right.
Yeah.
okay,
Sorry.
so
No,
this would
okay.
get, tables and text. So these are both.
Do you want
I guess
to,
do that.
Move,
two,
move the
uh,
cable superintendent job
right.
description until the March meeting.
So moved.
Manning.
thank you.
And then Director of Special Services.
Do we need a vote?
You want to take a vote on tabling the superintendent?
Okay,
Thank you.
so all in favor of tabling the superintendent job description. Show of hands. Unanimous. And then, so now the discussion is on the job description for the Director of Special Services.
And this one, I will tell you, I pulled 4 or 5 different ones from around the state, and then I reached out to a colleague who does not work in this district anywhere, that has been a student services director and is currently a superintendent, and asked for feedback on
Mhm.
what I had put together from those other ones. So she provided me a little bit of direction as well, which was helpful.
Great.
Yes, it does. Darn it. I was so close.
Okay, so it is student services though, correct?
Yes.
So, correct, so we need to amend the motion. So.
I can try.
Second. I will, Sam second that, okay, so, we need to vote on amending the motion to approve not the secondary, where are we? Not the Director of Special Services, but the Director of Student Services. Show of hands. Unanimous? Okay, and now, any more discussion on the job description of the Director of Student Services?
Kim is the direct supervisor of all of the staff there. This person would help with professional development needs or trainings and coordinating those, identifying the areas in the school, helping Kim possibly find a, particular training model, but is not the direct supervisor to those people. They would report to Kim still. Yes,
Secondary.
it does. Yes. Yes, it does. And it has the 3 and 4-year-olds FAPE for pre-K and they're, yes.
Any other discussion? Okay, so vote is on the approval of the RSU 48 job description for Director of Student Services. Go, yeah, all in favor?
Thank you.
Unanimous. Okay. Next action, seeking an action to approve RSU 48 becoming a member of MSMA.
So moved.
Thank you, Matthew.
Probably a question for you. The benefits are access to what I'm assuming are kind of discounted policies relative to the market.
Yes, for
Okay.
insurance policies,
Yeah.
absolutely, yes, as well as all of the trainings and resources that they provide to board
Yep.
members and superintendents. Yes.
Do you have any idea how
So-
many school districts are not part of MSMA?
I asked that once, actually Jefferson asked that
Yeah.
once, and I think it was 3, and they were basically like the unorganized township ones or something. Steve sent me that answer.
Yeah,
I can
there's
look
the-
it up for you definitely, but it's few and
Not
far
many.
between.
Okay.
And the cost to us will be more or less because of.
It's based on student count and we remember, we were
Cool.
for membership. So actually I think we'll save a little bit because it will be and it's a student, not a per student number, it's a range,
Mhm.
500 to 1,000. And
Okay.
so we'll be in a range and I think we'll actually end up saving a couple $100.
I think they provide great services to us.
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
agree.
Benefit greatly by being a member.
I agree.
Money well spent.
Any other discussion? Okay, so vote on the approving RSU 48 becoming a member of MSMA. All in favor?
you.
Unanimous. And now seeking action to approve RSU 48 utilizing MSMA trust for insurance purposes.
So moved.
Thank you, Sam. Second. Thank you, Matthew.
So if I can just explain, there are legal, right now, Great Salt Bay is a member of all of their trust options. Our secondaries are a member of just the ones that are applicable. Like for instance, we don't have Workman's Comp for the secondary ones because there isn't, or policies through them that apply to such things. There are legal timelines where you have to notify people if you're going to be putting out to bid for different insurance companies. Again, most people around the state use MSMA. At this point, I didn't realize to do this in the fall. I apologize. We wouldn't really meet our timelines if we switched to a different provider in terms of notification and bidding out. But we have always been highly satisfied with MSMA, and every time somebody studies it, they come back as the most fiscally responsible choice.
Compared to, dental insurance.
That's right. That's right. You did. Mhm.
Yeah.
Good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other discussion or any discussion on that? Okay, we'll put it to vote. All in favor of approving RC 48 utilizing MSMA trust for insurance purposes?
Thank you.
Unanimous. Passes. Okay, moving back to the audit as presented by Fred, seeking action to accept the FY 23 audit for Great Salt Bay is presented by Fred Brewer. Thank you, Betsy. Thank you, Amy. Any discussion on that?
Quick conversation around the significant deficiency. I think this points to many of the challenges that we encountered and have heard spoken of, and our kind of further motivation for separation in the RSU. Spending some time reading through this, some frustrating things, but nothing we can't address now that we have more time to focus inward on some of these practices, so.
And again, we are moving to a much more automated system instead of a managed, paper-based system for our business office and human resources and payroll, all of that. So we hope to eliminate some clerical errors because it would be more of a different automated process and different approval levels.
I think that's a good point, Sam, and thank you, Lindsay. I think that's the hope, and I have faith that we will succeed.
And never have deficiencies
And
again.
never have any other special deficiency. Okay, any other discussion on the audit? All right, we'll put to a vote. The vote is to accept the FY 23 audit for Great Salt Bay as presented by Fred Brewer. All in favor? Unanimous.
Question, will Freeman, Scott, and Newcastle also be
Yes,
putting those up?
yes, and he'll be bringing it to this meeting. We won't do 3 separate ones. Yes.
Are those on the same time lag, trying to remember?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. He's almost set with those for 23. So. And he and I have talked about just trying to get 24 as quick as possible so that when we end this fiscal year, we're only waiting on the one that we're currently in right now. Just have as much of things done and wrapped up as we can before we exit.
Okay, the next point on new business is the 26 budget preliminary discussion.
So this is just, obviously, Kim and I know that we want to keep it to as low of an increase as possible, right? That's always a goal while meeting the needs of our students and staff. But we're hoping to get input from you and beyond what the finance committee has already discussed of things that you would like to see included, like to see changed, like to see different thoughts.
Start it off, Sam.
Again, I can't underscore the need to keep this as low impact as possible as we make this transition. I know everyone is taking that into account, but I just have to say it out loud as often as I can. The one thing I would like to see included in any budget is the continuation of at least the Spanish club through budgeted funds. I'd like us to seriously consider as a board making this transition to foreign languages a more robust part of the GSB experience. And I think that's a good, small, low-risk step to do just that in the event that we don't receive any grant funds to support extracurricular activities. So one item that jumps to mind for me.
You know, as a former middle school head, I have to speak to my support for having foreign languages within the curriculum. Understand there's a cost, but there has to be some prioritization of what we're gonna do during the days we have. And I don't know whether you've had committees in the past that have really studied it. But if not, I would hope there would be a committee that would be formed to look at how and when we might introduce foreign languages, whether it's one language, whether it's a rotation in fifth grade, or, yeah, there's all sorts of different models out there, but the earlier students are exposed to languages, the more easily they retain them. It just helps them in so many ways, so I'm just a big advocate.
Do believe the chair has the discretion to create any type of committee at any point in time.
That is true.
I just throw that, yeah.
Other thoughts on the budget?
Even what you were referencing, the strategic planning process and just implementation of that was there. Anything out of that committee that really the foreign language should echoing that somewhat as some budget was one of the recommendations. Somewhat out of planning, but anything else.
I honestly think that most of the recommendations in the strategic plan are not things that are
Budget.
necessarily need to be tied to finances. There's very many of them, I think, that can be achieved within the next year or two that are really more cultural. Speaking of there's things you could do, make spend a lot of money, but I don't think that it's necessary. I think some of the things, the big themes of things that I can think of that would be something that would be expensive are just maintaining our facilities, having a plan going forward, and I think that we had really addressed that in the last year or so. That would be the biggest.
I think that, Mark had several, things that could be, like he was saying, the playground needs some attention, so we'd like to see if that, you know,
Yeah.
reflected in the budget. And maybe even taking a look at space, you know, I think it's really great to be, you know, looking at adding foreign language. I think it's really important as well. But then we're talking about more space that we don't necessarily have. And I know that's a big item, like, we don't want to add big items, but something we really should think about, you know, even if we're starting to bank money for it. I think we just have to have some discussions about it, so it doesn't kind of like creep up on us, but we're really too tight. We're getting it.
On that note, that's a really good point. When was the last time we did like a formal audit of our space for student and things like that? I know we've done some evaluations around.
A formal one, I'm not sure. Not since I was I've been superintendent. You mean like with a professional?
Yeah,
Planner.
someone that they, to help us really figure out. And with an eye towards some of projected student populations and things like that, and help us think with a bit longer of a time horizon around our space. And
We talked about that.
Yeah.
And that doesn't necessarily need to be part of this budget, but I think at some point in the next year or two, it would be worthwhile exploring that.
The Lincoln County housing study in the past, for like there's. This might be some
Mhm.
places where people are moving and.
Maybe I'll get some
Sharing.
funding for that too.
Yeah.
I think. That kind of
For a
stuff.
study.
It's,
Mhm. Yep.
So I would say, my wish list, as last year, the reserves for the facility was axed because we had the bond and it just seemed the right thing to do at that point. I would like to reiterate the importance of funding a reserve, a capital reserve for the building, because the bond got us back to the starting line. And if we do not fund a reserve for the building, we would be just on our heels again. would second we have already been kind of talking about the strategic planning for space and what it is going to look like in a year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. The feasibility of building a facility on the property, viability of that, price of that, what are other options? As I've said, having grown up here and experienced the field of mobile classrooms out there with walkways and bathrooms and whatnot, how do we avoid that as well? So that was also, not necessarily a immediate, but I think we need to give good thought to some opportunities that may or may not be out there currently. And then third, there has been a common thread tonight towards from the public, from the staff, and from us as a board, the desire, want, and need for a foreign language, Spanish language program, be it at the very least continuation of the club, but I think what the community is saying and what I feel as well, the importance of something that is integrated into the curriculum at the most timely fashion. This is something that has been, from when I began on the board, was talked about as something that had been hoped to come through when previous members had been on the board and continues to not get the time of day. And I think it is time for us to really address it. So that is my hope as well. And I would consider, I'm not sure what the formation of a committee looks like. Apparently I have the power to do that, but I'm not sure what that would entail. But so if there are any proposals of what the board can do to help, I would entertain that proposal.
Yeah, I would just, to start by just forming an ad hoc committee of the board with members to be appointed for the administration and community to explore integration of a foreign language curriculum into RSU 48.
Let's do that. So that would be now put into an action item.
You don't need
To
to,
vote?
no.
No, you can
appoint
just,
committee.
you have the authority to create that.
Okay, great. I will create an ad hoc committee to explore the formation of a foreign language program at Great Salt Bay, formed or composed of members of the staff, the community, and the board.
And I will be in touch tomorrow about starting to do that work with you
Great.
then. If, again, along with the committee, hiring committee for the student services, special student services director, if any of you are interested in serving on that foreign language committee, maybe let us know.
Yeah. I was gonna say, I think we can point to a few staff members and community members as well. We can-
Yeah, I think,
So
I
we
really,
can connect.
I really think the big task is more tactical and operational, like what does it look like? What does it cost? And what are the
Yep.
human and infrastructure requirements
Yeah.
for something like that?
Wonderful.
And the time.
Yeah.
Because there's a final,
Yep.
Right.
Mhm.
day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how does that?
Excellent. Any other budget discussion?
Back
Hot
to your
topics?
facilities
Yeah.
reserve, what do we think is a reasonable annual contribution to a reserve that avoids us having to take out $1 million loans?
There's a percentage, I believe.
Which
As
Fred,
recommended.
yes,
Yeah.
as
Can't-
Fred
I
talked
Can't
about.
remember what it was, but Mark would have that number easily. It is likely in the budget as
Yeah.
proposed. I do remember 2 years ago when we were talking about the bond, he had a calculation of what, if we had put away 10 years worth to a reserve, it would amount to $1 million. And that's what we needed to get back to where we were. So the percentage was pretty spot on as far as, granted, you could argue, you could always spend more, but I think there's a minimum. What that is off the top of my head, I do not know.
As our reserves increase, the finance committee ought to talk about investing some of that money as
was-
well.
I was gonna
Instead of
say,
just letting it sit in a savings account. in
What
Tim.
are the restrictions on how we utilize those reserves?
You have to end up with well, if the reserve
The
was
reserve.
formed with a warrant article that said you can create and spend for that purpose, then you just as a board have to make a vote. If it was created as you can create the reserve for this purpose and doesn't talk about expending the funds, you have to then have it on the budget warrant the next year and have a public vote on approving it.
Okay, but what about for investing it, as you mentioned, rather than
That-
letting it sit in a savings?
Yes, we
account?
can do that. That's within
Okay.
our financial purview. We just would want to consider, some of the reserves we don't know when we'll need access to, so you don't want to
Yep.
put them in locked,
Yep.
investments. You have to manage which ones you are looking at.
Yeah, I think it's worth a really
Yeah.
robust thought and conversation around that. I'd
Yeah.
love to, one of the things I'd love to see us really focus on as we transition to RC 48 is long-term financial
Right.
kind of planning, so.
Sappiness.
Not just financial planning, but like we're talking about, about the facilities stuff. I don't know if there's something major we need to do this year, for fiscal year 26, but I would like to not always be reacting.
Mhm.
I think Mark has been submitting things to Kim to include in his list through the budget, and we'll review those in the finance committee and then the whole board budget workshop.
I do want to look at long-term sub pay again, when we can look at it within the full budget. I
Okay.
know some of the other impacts that were not,
Sure.
we weren't able to kind of pin down. There was some desire to do a little bit more in that category, recognizing how important it is that staff
So-
member needs to be out long-term. They are
Would it make
replaced with
sense?
a very quality person, but we were not necessarily able to raise it more than we already did without knowing some other outstanding.
Okay. Okay.
Where are we coming down this year in regard to the special ed reserve that we put in place last year? I know there was some uncertainty around.
We did not
placements and
access
things.
it at all.
And just sit there.
Yes. Yes, right now. Which is great. We planned for 2 potential
Yep.
placements and have had none, so that's beneficial. to
And
us.
now it is there.
Yes.
Wonderful. Anything else?
Could you pose a question about investment strategies to your superintendent group? to just see
Absolutely.
what groups
Other people are
Might
doing
be
it.
doing.
Yeah.
I think that's a good idea. Mm-hmm. Who's our bank?
First National.
All right.
Next year's budget, this just has to do with flow and revenue, where we wanna. Anyway, that's more the revenue side, than this, maybe the budget side, but even within our budget, do we need to think about things that feel not as clear or.
Yes, yes. So when we bring the budget to the finance committee, they will first, I think, dig into some proposed thoughts on that. We'll bring it preliminary in the March meeting. You as a board will see a document, and then we'll schedule the in-depth meeting that will take a few hours like we did before, like we did last year, to go through line by line. And so we'll build in some spots there and look at how much we want to offset. I'm hoping to have some pretty thorough documents that take what we had for 4 budgets before and show where the items are now, what the difference is for total cost versus total cost, and be able to see where we want to use undesignated funds from the 4 and plan for possible disruptions in funding.
I just want to thank Matthew in advance for inviting us down to his house and paying for our airline tickets for that workshop.
Lovely.
It's gonna be great. It's gonna be really great.
My hope is that workshop is in April,
Early April?
early April.
Early April. I hear you. Okay.
Hmm.
Early April.
So-
Understood.
Hmm.
I'm gonna put that right back here on that TBD.
I mean, I don't know if that works for you.
It does. I'd like to have the board approve a budget in April so that in May we can have the public meeting to vote on it, in June, the referendum validation, budget validation. So that's fine because we're not till the 2nd Wednesday of April anyway, so we can do it. There's plenty of
If
time.
need be,
Yeah,
March
but
3.
plenty, I think we can manage that.
Okay.
Set that date.
Right now? Sure. Let me
I
pull up the
mean,
calendar.
Don't set it now. I
No,
mean,
you're
set it
probably right.
March. You know.
You're probably, that's fair. That's fair. Kim, you have your
So
calendar.
I'll put it out here right now. I'm away from April 1st through April 6th.
I am also not available that week.
All right,
Okay.
there's two of us. And the meeting is the 9th,
Mm-hmm,
our meeting.
mm-hmm.
Doesn't have a lot of.
Is there ability to, in the following?
We could move our
No.
regular meeting
What-
to the 16th as well. But hold on, we could move our
Could we
meeting to the 16th.
April 9th.
Right, right.
What are we calling this? A workshop?
Yes,
Workshop on the 9th and then regular meeting on the 16th.
that would be fine
Does that
in
work
timing wise.
for everyone?
Works for me, but it is April, is that April?
No, April vacation is the week of the 21st to the 25th.
Yes. That's a Wednesday.
Yeah. Can we do that during the day? Bless you all. Mm, yes.
But
9 o'clock in the morning, so we're talking about.
say, yeah, like 9 to 2. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, last year it took a while, but I'm not sure if it will be.
Do you want to do afternoon? Can you not do that day at all, or?
I have to work the overnight that night. Be an action nurse. Actual nurse. You
What-
just have
What
like
would,
48-hour no sleep, Amy, which probably doesn't
No.
really bode very well for me crunching numbers.
we don't want that.
Thursday.
Thursday
Yeah, so what does Thursday or
or Friday work? I can flex my schedule. Okay, that's fine.
Thursday the 10th.
I can do this.
Going once.
Nope. No.
On Thursday, the 10th?
Yes.
Yeah.
Meredith? You?
Island Institute is good. Nurses are good.
Go once, go twice, sold the April 10th. for the
April 10th.
Board workshop.
And I will see, just because the school is in use everywhere during the day, if we can somehow secure the coastal rivers room to manage that. And their beautiful sun-drenched location.
And just to confirm, so we're moving the meeting, the regularly scheduled board meeting to the 16th.
Correct.
I got it.
Thank you.
We'll just, for now, plan on 9 to hopefully as early as possible, but
Yeah.
sometime early afternoon.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So workshop on the 10th,
Mhm.
meeting on the 16th
Mhm.
for approval,
Yes,
and that works timing wise. Excellent.
it does.
I know you said it, I just had to say it again to make sure.
Okay,
Okay, great.
thank you for that
Any
direction.
other budget discussion items for this one? All right. Moving on, board self-evaluation discussion.
This was a request, I believe several of you have heard Eileen or MSMA talk about the board self-evaluation process. And I'm not sure the last time this board is new. The 9-person board is new, so that's something you haven't engaged in together. And a general thought on if you want to partake in that process and when you might want to do it. In what format? Yeah, MSMA has a sample evaluation. I thought I didn't put that in the drive. I meant to. I cannot be perfect. I can send it to all of you, but they do have a recommended self-evaluation process.
I feel that we should, as a board, just to kind of get on the same page, align as far as what our expectations are, what we feel we're doing well, what we, we're not doing well, and kind of how we can set goals as a board for the future.
One of the surveys like we did when we evaluated you previously.
It's the self-evaluation, so I'm not sure that that
Oh,
is in there.
So
Yes.
it's not,
I think you probably could, and you could modify the process anyway to include that if you wanted.
I thought it was sort of we each were doing an individual assessment of how we're doing, submitting it to, like, Sam, to August. And let him collate it,
Yeah.
let you collate it and come back and then we have a conversation.
Oh, I thought you meant you wanted us to send a survey to the community,
No, no,
about
no,
how you were performing.
yeah.
I saw, I'm sorry, yes. Yes, their individual feedback,
So it's a
yes,
simple
is a
online
part of
tool
that.
that just to do individually.
Yep.
Yes.
And
And then there's a discussion process, a protocol after. that.
Yeah.
Yes,
Just scan whatever MSMA has into a Google form and
Yeah.
there we go.
easy.
As we're really gonna be focused on budget and everything for the next couple months, would that make sense to do with the?
I think we could aim to maybe have it out there for us to complete by, June, or
Mhm.
aim to have us discussing it, but,
Mhm.
after the budget. Yeah, I think it would be nice to kind of have that, at least to wrap up the school year before going into summer, I think. Yeah. Okay, great. Lindsay and I will
Great.
work on that. Any other questions, thoughts on the self-evaluation for now? Okay, moving on to the policies, seeking action to bring in a first read IHB class size policy.
So moved.
Should be Sam. Betsy, discussion on IHB.
This is the one to bring in to alignment with the strategic plan.
We had a discussion about the strategic plan in there, in the policy committee meeting. Yes, it did say to establish class sizes or recommended class sizes, and so in our policy meeting, Chris was there as part of the association rep and administration and board, so we threw together preliminary, this first read, so threw
Yep.
together preliminary.
Important
start.
that we process in broad South Portland. As a
Yes.
sample, which was just a lot, overall. Felt more like how we've been writing policies in more recent years than what the older language was. And I'm trying to remember what some of the major differences were that we had. Yeah, it simplified the policy. So it did end up looking like fairly different than the former policy.
Are the numbers changed?
You'll see that the younger ages, it won't be a surprise, it's based on the budget conversation we've had.
Yes.
15, younger years.
To 20 for grades 1 to 4. And it is in your packet here.
Change on our previous policy, the numbers? Or did
Um,
we not?
We had a policy, it was from 2004, I think. Kim, do you remember the numbers on the previous one? We changed it, but it was slight changes, right? We did a range instead of a target. I think the previous one said something like 15, not to exceed 20, or you'll split, or if it goes lower than this, you'll combine.
Oh.
And so we changed the language to be a clearer range, target range.
Definition of a class is the people that are in that particular room, but it doesn't change, like, say, you couldn't usurp this somehow by putting in 2 teachers. Correct?
Say adding or reducing staff.
But that's not what they mean, that, right? That's not what they
Right,
mean.
this is a ratio
Like,
per
another class
student,
that
right?
said it's 25 kids that were 2 teachers. They'd have to be in 2 classrooms. I just get a little confused because class is not defined in here. And when I have policies, I just.
We, right, no,
It's not a ratio is what we're saying. We're defining class as the kids in one room, not the ratio. to
correct,
adults.
correct.
So. the
Right,
ratio is
because
like-
pre-K has a ratio of 16 to 2, 8 to 1, and kindergarten doesn't, so that might be one adult there. So this isn't the ratio. Maybe that's something we can add in as a
I think class needs to be-
definition.
That's. Because I think there is a difference, right, between ratios and class size.
Like the class unit size.
Yeah,
How, whether it's the homeroom or whatever it is.
I'm only saying that because I like that you gave more like, rather than prescribing how you would solve the problem if it got bigger, you gave the options, which I think is good.
Mhm.
I do just think when I read adding or reducing staff, I thought in my head, so the class has 25 kids in second grade, they're gonna leave them shoved in one classroom, but add in another teacher.
No.
potentially. So I think, and I know that that's not the intent, but I
Right.
think that some people that are concerned about maintaining small class sizes, which we heard over and over and over again in those strategic plans, that just might be a little confusing.
We'll
Because
bring
what
that
you
back
mean
to
is
the policy committee.
Actually splitting and adding another teacher. and
But
putting
just
it in
first read, we
Yes.
can.
Yeah,
yeah.
right.
Yeah.
That's good feedback to bring to the
Yeah.
committee for the next.
Great. Any other discussion on the IHB policy? Okay, so, vote to bring IHB class size policy into first read. Show of hands. Unanimous. Passes. Okay, second read approval, seeking a motion to bring second read and approval ECAD security cameras in school.
So moved.
Thank you, Sam. Betsy.
And just a reminder, we put it here because we had separate policies for buses, for
Right.
school, and
Right, right.
buses
Love that.
are
Wonderful. Any other discussion? All right, seeing none, vote to approve ECAD security cameras in school. All in favor? It is unanimous. All right, there are no donations or grants to accept tonight, but as always, we appreciate those that continue to give. Now, we will, in consideration and action to adjourn the public portion of the GSB regular meeting and enter into executive session for the purpose of discussion of confidential information pursuant to 1 MSRA, section 4056 F.
So moved.
Thank you, Sam. Thank you, Krista. A vote.